We sold our WRX and we didn't make as much money as we thought we would. So, as you heard from the intro, we sold our WRX. Finally, it took so long. Apologies for the noise at the moment. We're inside of a tin roof shed and it's currently raining like crazy. Brisbane is in the middle of flooding. So apologies if you can pick it up on the microphone, but we sold our WRX. Yeah, not as much as I thought we would. I thought it fetched a bit of a higher premium, but I guess the kind of coronavirus is tailing down. Not many people are buying cars as much anymore. But yeah, so we'll run through exactly what we had to do to the car to get it ready for sale. But yeah, got my book, got my WRX tab. All right, so I originally found this WRX. We were actually looking at a couple of cars on the auction. There was a Fiesta and it did end up going for a price I thought we could have made a bit of money off. But I found this WRX on Facebook Marketplace at 1 o'clock at night. The night before, messaged the guy, he happened to live locally, so we went round, the car seemed really good, and we picked it up and we bought it for $9,500. So I believe when we started the challenge we had 11,000, where are we?
Yeah, it was 11,800, I think.
Yeah, 11,800.
To buy the WRX.
Buy the car, fix what we needed to fix, and this was our first kind of, I guess MPS was a bit, but yeah, kind of cool car that we wanted to have a bit of fun with. Morgan and I have never owned a WRX. We admire them. So we bought the car, like I said, $9,500. Now that included registration, roadworthy, all that. So there was a big plus right off the bat. We didn't have to go get our own roadworthy. We didn't have to put registration on it. We did have to end up putting registration on at the end just because it was a couple of days out. But right after the bat, after we bought the car, like I said, we bought the spoiler. So that was $600. We then had to service it, like Morgan said, that was $146. Thankfully though, the guy we bought the car off, he included spark plugs and...
the oil filter?
Yeah, the oil filter. So we didn't actually have to pay for that. The only money was in the oil and... what else was there?
That was it.
Yeah. Oh, that was the filter that ended up going on your S15.
Yeah, so we bought an air filter for it.
So we were going to go with a pod filter just so we could hear turbo cars. We love that induction noise, and the airbox is quite restrictive in terms of noise. Performance-wise, it's all been myth busted that it's actually better for the car. But we did buy a pod filter for it. Unfortunately though, the way that the mass sensor is hooked up to that airbox, it's kind of one unit. It's we can't just run a pod filter on it.
We could have, but we'd have to get a bracket and some piping, and that was going to be a couple, almost $1,000. I think some of them were. So
yeah. So for the sake of the noise, we thought, yeah, nah, we won't do that. So it's now actually living on Morgan's S15. So all up, that was $86 then for the servicing, which was just the cost of oil. Then what do we got? Transfer. Transfer of ownership. So that's like your duty costs. So in Queensland and in Australia, we have to pay to transfer the ownership and registration from person to person. We also tinted the car. So that was probably something that people may have noticed between when we first got the car and then the following episodes. It had one window was tinted, but it was really shit. And then the rest of the windows had the tint glue on it, but no tint.
And then the rear window was all bubbly. And
yeah. If you look at our February meet video,
yeah, I think, yeah.
You'll see the GoPro footage actually out the back of the WRX, and yeah, it just looks real dodgy. So we got the car fully tinted, so that was $350. Honestly made the car.
It made it from like kind of a dirty, neglected car, like when we picked it up, and yeah, just just transformed it. It was great.
Yep. Now, one thing that you didn't see on the channel is that after I got the car tinted, or I was driving it home, leave a set of lights, and bang, down on a cylinder. I pulled over, I'm freaking out thinking, God, I've just killed this WRX. We've just put, you know, this is our, third car at that point, so challenge over pretty much. We need a full engine rebuild. So yeah, down on a cylinder, limped at home, and yeah, was really pissed off. Chucked the scan tool on, nothing came up.
Yeah, so what we've found as well is the Subaru scanning, or the ECU and all the stuff that comes up on the scanning tool is pretty much nothing.
Yeah, it's not helpful at all. So anyway, turns out what it was is when we were doing the servicing of the vehicle, we never took the coils apart from the loom. We just kind of left it connected. And what we didn't notice is that one of the coils had either cracked with heat or old age or exploded, whatever happened. But then they're fixed. Now, I don't know if this was the previous owner or the owner before that, but the way they fixed it was to just jam as much silicone into the top of that coil with the connector to hold it all together. And then it just so happened as I was driving, it either short-circuited, grounded, something like that, and bang, no spark in that cylinder. So that was actually a relatively cheap fix. I think it was 20 bucks. I got a new, we didn't need the actual coil. Oh no, we did need the coil. So we got the
coil, and it came with like the harness or lead.
Yeah, so we got that from a wrecker. We could have bought one brand new, but that was, I think, about $200, $300. Again, that probably should have sent us warning alarm bells, just on how expensive OEM parts are for Subarus. But yeah, so that's something that we didn't show on the channel, but that was 20 bucks. We then got the headlights restored. They were yellow, they were blur, real hazy and faded. So that was $60, which honestly, again, just tidied up the car so much. The shift knob. Now we had a debacle with the shift knob. So as we bought the WRX, we kind of bought the wing, we bought the shift knob, all this kind of stuff. And that was one of the first things we ordered, was a shift knob. Now at this point it had been 2 weeks.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, and no shift knob had arrived. So we were like, just cut our losses. We went to Car Mods Australia, shout out to them. Ordered a Tomei shift knob, Tommy, however you want to call it. So all that shift knob, and then the day we sold it, or the day before we sold it, the original shift knob came. So then we had two shift knobs, so we gave it away to a friend of ours who it's now on his Subaru.
But I think in total though, from when we ordered it, it took about 2 months to get to us. So
yeah, which was ridiculous, and it was locally.
Yeah, it was in Brisbane.
It was from Brisbane to Brisbane, so something happened there. The brake calipers. So we had to spend $42 in paint. Now, some of that was a mishap from me not buying the right paint. We'll pop in the banner and everything on us painting the brakes. And also $10, we got the little Subaru brake caliper stickers. Just made it look that much nicer. Now for the big one. The O2 sensor. So we had this problem we knew going in, but the previous owner wasn't as honest as we thought he was. So we bought the car, it had a check engine light, he plugged in the scan tool and said, look, it's just the circuit relay, which it was the O2 circuit, but he was saying that it was due to the fact that it wasn't spaced out. So we kind of just took him on his word, but it turns out that wasn't the case at all. The O2 sensor was kaput. It didn't work. So, and it unfortunately, it looked very new. Did we do we did a video on it?
I think, yeah, we did a video on it. It was with a couple other things as well, when we did the trim pieces, yeah.
It looked fairly new, the O2 sensor. We did get genuine Denso, so it was the O2 sensor that would have came with the car from factory. We don't know what brand the original O2 sensor was. It could have just been a cheap brand. But that one was $304, which is crazy because I had to replace an O2 sensor on my Porsche, or ex-Porsche, and it was about $100 cheaper than that. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Subaru O2 sensors, but that is crazy.
That was the cheap one too.
Yes, that was the cheap one. We shopped around to a few different stores, and they were quoting us estimates of about $500 to some of them, which was, at that point, you just look at a new exhaust, like it was ridiculous. And then finally, the last expense we had was the registration. So because the car took so long to sell, we ended up having to put registration on the car to keep it legal. Cars with registration just sells so much easier, so much quicker. So registration, roadworthy, and that was $382. Now the car was bought without a roadworthy, so we didn't have to pay for the roadworthy. So the grand total, all added up, where are we? Was 11,000, I think it's plus, about $11,600, $700. I'm not too sure with the taking away of the filter and stuff like that. But we pretty much were right on budget. So we had like $100 left really that we could spend on the car, which I was sure with the rego and the expense of the O2 sensor that we were going to go over.
I think as well with, if we had to get the roadworthy certificate, that could have pushed us over.
Yep. So that was happenstance. So we do kind of loosely focus, or not focus, but we do keep in mind the budget, but we're not checking it constantly. Like if a car, like, you know, in all honesty, if a car, we buy a car and for example, it needs brakes and buying those brakes puts us over, then we're gonna buy brakes because we're not gonna try and sell a dodgy car just so we, you know, come under budget. So I was happy and willing to put my own money into it, which I thought I was doing at the time, but it turns out not. It turns out that we came just under budget, which is really good, but we ended up selling the car. Morgan ended up selling the car. Yeah. So how much did we sell it for?
Sold it for $13,000, which, yeah, is a little lower than we wished, but
a bit lower than we wished. So
I think it had been what, almost 3 weeks. I think it realistically was, and it's getting to a point where it was just sitting there. No one was buying it. A couple of people were lowballing us, offering boats and whatnot, but yeah, some guy offered 13, and you know what? We're just like, you know what? Yeah, just get it out.
And also, we'd gone to the auctions. We'd seen a couple of cars that we liked. So it was kind of like a, look, we could hang around and eventually someone was gonna buy it for what we were hoping for the 14 and a half kind of range, which I think, judging by the other cars on Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, car sales, that was about the going rate. But yeah, it was just a matter of expediency. We don't want to get bogged down on the challenge because then, you know, that means, you know, there's not content pumping through. We're not constantly moving and climbing up. But yeah, so we just ended up having to go, you know what, we'll take a little bit of profit rather than waiting and try and get more later on. So we sold that one, got $13,000. So I believe we're at $13,100 and something dollars. Morgan will, when we do the pricing, somewhere in the middle or that side. But yeah, so we got that much to play with, and I guess we'll leave you on a cliffhanger. We bought our next car already. We technically bought it before we got the money for the Subaru.
Yeah.
By the time this video has gone out, you've seen the car. And I guess all I will say is I love it.
Oh yeah, it's the nicest car we've had. It's awesome.
I don't want to give too much away, but it does a lot of things better than a lot more expensive cars do.
Yeah.
So it's probably pretty obvious then saying that. It's the BMW.
The one that didn't start.
But thanks so much for watching. Thanks heaps for your support. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. Hit the like button, comment below. Except you, Zane, the 20 comments on the last video. Come on, man. But thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you when we unveil our next lemon, which it's not a lemon. It's too nice. Yeah. Anyway, see you next time.